and over to you.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us. My name is Raed Abudaya. I am the Channel Business Manager for Palo Alto Networks here in the Middle East. I want to first thank you for giving us the time to be with us today. I also want to thank the Westcon Comstore team for giving us the chance to present at Imagine Summit. So thank you very much for your time again, and I look forward to hearing from you after the presentation with any questions you may have for us. I also want to give you a heads up that we're going to have a quiz at the end of the presentation, so please pay attention to a lot of the slides and enter a chance to win some prizes with us. All right, let's get started. So if you look at the realities of what's happening today in customer enterprises or customer environments, with the recent pandemic and the recent changes that are happening across the globe, we're seeing an accelerated digital transformation journey. Some customers may have started this already. Those who haven't started it with COVID-19, they definitely started this process. And now you get to see a lot more customers moving things to emerging technologies like cloud, etc. So the reality of a customer environment today looks a lot different than what it did maybe a year ago. And if you look at a typical customer and where their applications or where their users or where their data lives today, it's basically spread across multiple locations, right? Some of it could be on-prem, some of the data could be in the cloud environment, some data could be on hosted with say AWS or Azure. They have users using their mobile devices. They have users like dialing from home. So it's basically, if I'm an IT or a security analyst at a company and I'm looking at my reality today, I have to protect data users everywhere. And I have to find a way to consistently do this and provide the same consistent business outcome to my customers, in this case, users, irrespective where it actually operates.
Sorry, can I interrupt you there? Sorry, yes. I'm getting a very, very odd reverb. It's like a bouncing ball sound from your audio or your mic.
Okay.
Sounds like raindrops hitting on steel or something.
No, I tell you what's happening. I'm probably, because I'm using my hands, I'm hitting the desk in front of me. That's probably what's causing this. All right, hang on a sec. Let me move my hands down so I don't touch anything.
Okay, just talk for me for a little bit before we restart. I just want to make sure that it's gone.
Yep. So data users and applications are everywhere today. You know, they are in the cloud, they are on-prem. If I'm a security analyst looking at protecting my users and applications, it's better, yeah?
Yeah, no, it definitely seems to be gone. Okay.
Yeah, I was pointing on the desk. Let's start over.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries.
Perfect, and then over to you.
Good morning, and thank you for taking the time to be with us today. My name is Raed Abudaya. I am the Channel Business Manager for Palo Alto Networks here in beautiful Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. I also want to thank our hosts, Westcon Comstore, for giving us the chance to present to you at the Ignite Summit. We're going to have a quiz at the end of this presentation, so I would ask that you please pay attention to some of the slides and basically have a chance to win some prizes at the end of this event with us. All right, let's get started. So with the latest changes that are happening across the globe, if you look at what the pandemic did to a lot of organizations, it created new realities. Those realities may not have existed.
Reed, sorry, I've been asked to interrupt you again. You mentioned a different event, not the Imagine event. I'm just going to pop Jay in quick. Jay, can you just clarify?
Red, you mentioned Ignite. Sorry, you mentioned Ignite.
That's our
Imagine Middle East. Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. And you know what? I'm gonna do it at the beginning so I don't forget it.
Yeah.
And it's called Imagine. It's called Imagine Summit or Imagine what?
Imagine Middle East.
Imagine Middle East. Okay, khalas. I would say it at the beginning, so I don't actually lose track of it.
All right, sir. No problem.
All right, let's go.
Perfect. Over to you again.
Good morning. Thank you for taking the time to be with us today. My name is Raed Abudaya. I am the Channel Business Manager for Palo Alto Networks here in beautiful Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. I would like to thank our Westcon Comstore partners for having us today and hosting us in their Imagine Middle East event. We're going to go over some slides. I will try to keep it as short as possible, as informative as possible. But I would also ask that you pay attention because we're going to have a quiz at the end, and you may actually enter a chance to win some prizes with us. All right, with that, let's get started. So with the recent pandemic hitting the globe, we are actually faced today with new realities. Customers are facing with new realities. If I'm a security analyst, or if I'm an IT or a CIO at a company, I'm looking at things like users working from home. I'm looking at adoption of new technologies like maybe cloud. I'm looking at new ways to protecting my branches. And if I'm trying to figure this puzzle out, I am faced with challenges. And those challenges are, how do I go provide consistent security to my data, to my users, to my applications, irrespective of where they may reside, right? I want to make sure that if I have anybody using an IoT device, that I'm protecting that IoT device for them. If somebody is using data in the cloud, I'm protecting that cloud environment for them, and so forth. So if I am looking at protecting my environment, I have a choice today. And that choice includes over 1,600 different security companies that can provide me today with point solutions to go address my security challenges. So this is another reality that me as a CIO today is being faced with, right? So how do I go and make sure that if I go pick any of these, that they are the right technology and the right solution to protect me? And more importantly, how do I do it in a way where I get the same consistent security across? And at the same time, I'm sure I'm delivering still my key business outcomes that I owe to the business. And if you are faced with this reality today, chances are you're going to find it to be extremely complex to go and get a lot of those pieces of solutions to work together. You're going to have for sure some security gaps because a lot of these solutions may not talk to each other, right? So you're going to have a point solution A that doesn't talk to point solution B, and that could create a risk for your organization because hackers quickly realize that you have gaps in your security environment, and they would abuse those gaps to go and attack you. And finally, if you're talking about having different tools, different security measures, different security solutions, chances are your customer experience will also take a hit. At Palo Alto Networks, before I get to that, and if you look at an example or examples of what's happening today in the industry, and I'm just sharing with you, some of the recent big attacks, this is a proof that a lot of these customers, a lot of these companies had actually security solutions in place. They had maybe a firewall, they had endpoint agents, and they still got attacked and they still got exposed. Because again, if you don't have something that provides you with an overall picture of what's happening in your environment, chances are you could be easily compromised by hackers. And this is why at Palo Alto Networks, we believe it really takes a platform approach to go and address your security concerns. The platform approach relies on 4 key pillars. The first of those is the visibility, right? So you cannot protect what you don't see. We believe that the first step toward providing security to any company is to provide complete visibility over all applications, all IoT devices, all cloud usage, all users, all domains that the customer environment currently has. So that is the first step. The second step is, now that we have complete visibility, we will go to the customer and say, okay, which of these applications do you really want us to go and protect? So we go protect only those and we block everything else. We do the same thing with devices. Which of those IoT devices we just discovered in your environment you would like for us to protect? So we protect only those and we block everything else, and so forth to cover the customer's entire environment. So the first thing is we provide visibility. The second thing is we reduce the surface attack area by only worrying about the things that the customer wants us to worry about. The third step is, now that we have reduced the surface attack area, we go and block everything that's known. If it's a known exploit, we block it. Known malware, we block it. If it's a known bad domain, we block it. So we basically, if it's known for us, if it's known for anybody, we go and block it. And finally, we put security measures in place to help you stop the unknown. So if you have an unknown exploit or an unknown malware that has not been stopped in real time through your, say, firewalls or your software agents, then you put machine learning, artificial intelligence, and automation in place to go and make sure that you catch those and you stop them. We believe this is the right approach to protecting a customer environment because it can be applied to wherever the data lives, wherever the users are, and whatever the applications that they may be using. So today we accomplish this with Palo Alto Networks through 3 key pillars. The first pillar is Strata. Strata is all about protecting the network and the endpoints. So if it's an IoT device, if it's a laptop, if it's a server, if it's a network environment, Strata is where we provide customers with solutions to go protect that environment. Prisma is all about protecting a cloud environment. And we're seeing more and more customers adopting the cloud and moving some workloads or their entire workloads to the cloud. So Prisma is the most comprehensive cloud security suite in the whole industry, and it provides customers with everything they need to protect their workloads in the cloud. And finally, Cortex. So for us, Cortex is all about protecting things that may not be caught in real time, whether they are in the cloud or on-prem. We provide customers with solutions that relies on machine learning, artificial intelligence, and automation to go and stop attacks that have not been seen or cannot be stopped in real time. Now, when we started this journey, 2007, we are not the first to come to the industry with security solutions, but if you look at what we have accomplished over the last few years, we have been really true pioneers in the security industry. We introduced the first next generation firewall back in 2007. And if you look just only at 2020 this year, we have brought to the industry 6 different industry firsts this year alone, and we still continue to innovate. So we believe the platform approach is the right approach. We believe that innovation, investing in R&D, will get you definitely to protect a customer environment that you may not have been able to protect with point solutions. All right, let me quickly cover the Strata, and we will move on to Cortex and Prisma after that. So Strata for us is simply different form factors of firewalls with subscriptions on top. So it could be a physical firewall, it could be a software firewall, it could be a firewall as a service, or what we call Prisma Access. And then you get cloud delivered security solutions on top of this. And this whole setup, whether it's physical, whether it's virtual, is all managed centrally by Panorama. So if I'm a customer, I don't have to go worry about different management consoles for my different form factors. I can manage my entire environment through Panorama. So let's start with the physical firewalls. We have everything that a customer might need from an entry-level branch type firewall with the PA200 series, all the way up to the 7000 series with almost 800 gig of protected throughput. And we recently announced our machine learning capabilities with firewalls. So today, customers who buy our firewalls or who have existing firewalls can upgrade to PAN-OS 10.0 and get machine learning capabilities. And I'll talk about those when we get to protecting your environment from known attacks and zero-day attacks. Next is the software series with the VM series. So the VM series is basically an exact replica of the hardware series. So you've got basically 100% feature parity, and it helps customers protect 3 different type of environments. The first one is public cloud. So if a customer is using, say, AWS or Azure, we help them protect that environment from the outside of the world, or we can set it up as an internet gateway. We can also protect VNets or VPCs within that public cloud environment, or we can do a microsegmentation for customers in public clouds. We can do very similar things with private cloud. So if a customer is using VMware, for example, and they would like to make sure that they are protecting their VDI environment, their VM machines, or if they're looking for a solution to protect and segment and microsegment their environment, then the VM series can do this for them. And finally, the branches, and we're seeing more and more companies take our VM series and they put them on their white box or their physical appliance, and then provide that as a branch SD-WAN device to their customers. And finally, from a software perspective, the Kubernetes firewall, this is the industry's first. We're going to be talking about a lot of industries first. So this is the first Kubernetes-friendly firewall in the entire industry. We released this back in June of this year. We're very proud of the fact that today we can help customers protect containerized environments. So if a customer has workloads that run in containers, whether on-prem or in public clouds, we can help them protect those workloads with the CN series firewalls. As I mentioned earlier, this entire setup of different form factors of firewalls is centrally managed through Panorama, and customers today can get Panorama through either a physical device, they can get it through a virtual appliance, or they can get it through our cloud service. Okay, moving on to cloud-delivered solutions. And the reason why this is so important for us is we talked at the beginning of the need to have customers provide or get consistent business outcomes, consistent security, irrespective where the data lives, right? So if I have an IoT device on-prem, or if I have an application on AWS, I want to make sure that I have a security solution in place that protects me the same, irrespective of what kind of device I'm trying to protect or what kind of application I'm trying to protect. And this is what we get with our cloud-delivered security solutions. So we have threat prevention, we have WildFire, we have DLP, we have a total of 8 different cloud-delivered security solutions that provides consistent security to the customer, irrespective, again, where the data or applications or users might reside. Let's talk about those in more detail, and I will start with the first one. So threat prevention, we talked about the platform approach, the 4 key pillars of the philosophy. So we said the first is visibility, complete visibility. Second is reducing the surface attack area. And third was stopping the known. Threat prevention is all about stopping the known. So if it's known malware, if it's known command and control, if it's a known virus, whatever the case might be, if it's known, we block it with threat prevention. So that is the first subscription. The second subscription is the unknown. So now if you get something that's unknown on an IoT device, unknown in the cloud, unknown on a server or a laptop, we basically send that to the cloud. We investigate it, whether it's benign or malicious, and then we send a verdict to the firewall to either block it or allow it. And I mentioned when we talked about the physical firewalls, the machine learning capabilities of our security solutions today. And with PAN-OS 10.0, today customers can block 95% of file-based attacks in line without having to send those files to the cloud for investigation. So if you are a Palo Alto Networks customers today, and you have the WildFire subscription, you can get that with PAN-OS 10.0. And we're very happy to share with you that today we are the only industry that has a machine learning firewall capable of doing this in line. The same thing you will get with our web filtering or URL filtering subscription. So the WildFire we talked about is all about files. This is about web-based type of attacks. So if you have a WildFire subscription, it will protect you with 95% of file-based attacks. The URL filtering will protect you from web-based attacks, also in line, also with instant protection. And we're very pleased again to say that for both of these subscriptions, we're the only vendor in the industry who provides customers with instant protections, irrespective if it's a file-based or a web-based attacks. All right, I do want to spend the next few minutes talking about 3 key areas of security that are very relevant to our region in the Middle East. And the first is DNS security. DNS security is, for me, one of the most important aspects that customers should look at, specifically in our region. And the reason why I say this is the Middle East have been a victim of attack groups that abuse DNS. They use tools to make sure that they steal data, they spy on customers, etc. And we have seen this across the Middle East. And we have seen hackers use it frequently, and they use it over a period of time because they realize that many of the customers in this region do not have a security solution that inspects their DNS traffic. So I believe this is one of the key things that Palo Alto Networks recently introduced that will help customers in our region specifically stop those attacks. So we have a research group called Unit 42, and we've done a lot of research on DNS related attacks. And we discovered that 80% of malware today abuses or uses DNS for things like command and control, right? So They use DNS to go and establish a communication path between the customer and the hacker. And most of the time, this line of communication or the command and control is happening without the customer knowledge, right? So imagine 80% today of malware have some kind of DNS abuse associated with it. The second thing we're noticing is there is a huge rate of new domains being created, and those domains being created just maybe simply for seconds or minutes before they disappear. So we're seeing hackers creating new domains every day, maybe in the hundreds or the thousands, because they want to make sure that they create this domain, they go and abuse a customer environment or customer DNS traffic, and then make that domain disappear so you can't actually track it. And the last thing we're actually seeing is theft of data happening through DNS tunneling. So DNS tunneling, for those of you who are not familiar with it, is when you use the DNS lookup to basically steal data from a customer by injecting this DNS lookup with bits and pieces of the customer confidential or private data, and you exfiltrate that data through DNS lookups. So we're seeing a huge amount of this in the Middle East specifically. So why are current solutions not working today? You know, some customers may have DNS solutions, some customers may not have a DNS solution. Well, if you look at the existing solutions that today in the industry, one, they are basically relying on static lists. And static lists is basically not enough. It is slow, and it's definitely not going to scale with the speed at which the attackers are creating new domains. Second, a lot of what's happening today requires manual intervention from the customer to basically predict potential malicious domains being created or potential malicious traffic that may not be normal. So again, it relies on a lot of manual intervention from a customer perspective. And the last thing that the customer misses today is basically analytics, something that looks at data and say, let's establish what is normal behavior, and let's put a baseline and make sure that we use that baseline to discover anything that may not be normal and go investigate it. So with DNS, which is today a subscription that you get from Palo Alto Networks, we believe the solution is very simple. When a user sends a DNS request, it goes through the firewall, Palo Alto Networks firewall. The firewall then looks and sees and checks if that domain has been cached, if it's been used before, it's been identified before. So the second step is basically to say, have we seen this domain before, and are we okay with it? If the answer is yes, we let that DNS go through. If the answer is no, we have not seen that DNS before or the domain before, we send it to our cloud. We send it to our DNS security in the cloud to investigate it. And if it's benign, we allow it. If it is not benign, we block it. It's as simple as this. We provide customers also with machine learning capabilities where, let's say that you have an instance where an infected machine is sending 50,000 lookups during a very short period of time to the same unknown domain. That will trigger a flag, because that is absolutely an abnormal behavior. There should not be 50,000 lookups typically going from one machine to an unknown domain. So that gets flagged as abnormal. We investigate it, and if it's malicious, we block it. Simple as that. We have done a lot of proof of concepts for customers across the Middle East. And we come across a lot of situations where the customers don't even see this type of attacks happening because they simply don't have a DNS solution, or their DNS solution is not capable of scaling to the speed of the hackers today. So this is one key security that I wanted to talk about. The second key security pillar, and this is happening not just in the Middle East, this is happening across the globe, is the IoT security challenge. And the reason why I say challenge is, if you go walk into any customer environment today and you ask the customer how many IoT devices they have on-prem, chances are they have as many IoT devices as your traditional IT devices. They probably have printers, they probably have scanners, they probably have CCTV cameras, and those numbers are basically as high as their traditional IT devices. And if you walk into a hospital or a healthcare industry, chances are the number of those IoT devices is even more than the traditional IT devices. So Traditionally, security analysts and customers would worry about protecting their IT environment. But if you walk into most customers' environments today and ask them, how are you protecting your IoT devices? You're either find out that they don't have an IoT protection, or they have a very legacy approach to protecting IoT devices. McKinsey did the recent research. They basically pulled a lot of CIOs and asked them what they think of IoT. And 76% of those CIOs who were polled said that IoT security is their top priority, but only 16 of them, or 16% of them, felt that they are today prepared. And the reason why they don't feel prepared is, again, the solutions that are currently in place are not addressing all aspects of the IoT security. And if you look at the devices involved, and we talked about the healthcare industry, if you have any of those devices, hackers will most likely target them, because hackers know that chances are you don't have a security solution to protect something like a medical imaging system or something like a printer. They probably know that you have a firewall that protects your server or your laptop, but they are pretty sure that chances are you don't have something to protect these kind of devices. So if I'm a customer today and I want to go and deploy a traditional solution, chances are that solution is going to give me very limited visibility over IoT devices that are not that are new or have not been seen before. Because a lot of these rely on existing databases of devices to go and provide you with visibility over what's happening in the environment. Second, as you deploy those solutions, you'll find that they are extremely complex, expensive to implement, and require a lot of manual intervention on your end as a customer to go manage them. And finally, you will find that a lot of these solutions don't provide you, even with the ones that they actually go and provide you visibility on, they don't have enough protection to fully protect you from not just known threats, but also unknown threats, or provide you with machine learning capabilities to say, listen, this device is acting in an abnormal way, and we need to go investigate why is it acting as such. So again, this is a subscription you get from Palo Alto Networks on top of a firewall. So as you can see, the theme here, the firewall for us is the cornerstone of protection. And a lot of the traffic that goes through the firewall can be inspected for things like DNS, can be inspected for IoT security. And our IoT security approach is very simple. It starts basically with understanding the customer IoT environment and providing the customer with complete visibility over their IoT environment. Today, we can actually discover almost 90% of the customer environment within 48 hours. And then we provide machine learning and understanding of the remaining 10%. And within probably 2 weeks' time, we provide them with complete visibility over what's happening in their environment. So that's the first step. The second step is, now that we know what the customer environment looks like, what kind of IoT devices there are, we start basically providing customers with information about the IoT devices and the risk associated with them. And I will share with you an example. Let's say that it's a printer. So we say this is a printer, this is an XYZ printer, and this is model 123 of the XYZ printer, right? So we kind of profile a device ID for that printer by vendor, by model, and we kind of build a baseline of how should a printer chat with the network, right? And how should a printer from that specific vendor behave and act? And how should that model of that specific vendor behave and act? So we kind of build a profile, a device profile, and then we start monitoring that device for anything that could be abnormal, as well as looking at things like, does it have the latest OS? Does it have the latest firmware? Does it have the latest patches? So as we build this database of devices for the customer, we start basically applying what we deem as risk reduction policies. So we say, okay, listen, let's make sure that we apply all the latest patches to the devices that we know are using old patches. Let's block anything that's basically not normal. And we do this by device ID. Next is, now that we have done all the visibility, and now that we have done all the patching, and we have learned all the normal behaviors of those IoT devices, now we start worrying about the known, right? So we stop anything that's known for us, anything that's known in the industry, again, by leveraging the cloud security subscriptions that we talked about earlier. So we can apply this now with IoT to make sure that we're helping the customers stop file-based or web-based attacks in line. And finally, we start worrying about the unknown, right? So if it's unknown, let's say that that printer we talked about is exhibiting abnormal behavior. We basically send that traffic or that file to Wildfire. Wildfire will investigate it for malicious or benign nature, and then we send a verdict to that firewall that say, yes, this file is okay, let the printer go ahead and proceed, or this file is not okay, let's block it. We do the same thing with domains. So let's say that a printer is talking to a domain. We go find out if that's a malicious domain or if that is a benign domain, and we either allow that traffic or stop it. So we basically go and apply both machine learning capabilities as well as sending data to our threat intelligence cloud to make sure that we stop and prevent the unknown. All right, the third and final security that I wanted to talk to you about today that is key for us also in the Middle East, it is the next generation SD-WAN. So we acquired the company recently called CloudGenix, and CloudGenix, similar to Palo Alto Networks, were pioneers in the way they actually approached providing customers.
Did he just disappear?
Oh, he lost connection.
Jeez, just boom, gone.
Oh shoot. Okay. Aswina?
Yes, Jay.
We lost Raid
Yeah.
completely. So
1 second, I'll ask him to join again. Just give him one. I'll give him a call.
No problem.
He did not respond. I'll try back.
Thank you.
I thought it was me only because my phone has lost connection also.
I'm responding to the call. I think he's probably put it on silent or something.
Oh yeah, shit.
He hasn't even read my WhatsApp message.
Yeah, we have to wait. He's not picking up, Swina.
No, I tried
His
twice.
phone is ringing, right?
Yeah, phone is ringing. Probably he's kept it on silent.
Yeah. I hope he's not continuing and didn't realize.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think so also. He must be continuing thinking.
He's on the presentation mode, so how to? Should we tell Gokche that we lost Raid? Maybe if he calls.
No, but even she would try reaching on his phone, right? Which I'm trying already.
But okay. Maybe Gokche has some other phone line.
Let me drop a quick email as well. Maybe he can
Yes. But
notification.
this
Just
guy was
1
all.
minute.
It was almost smooth already.
Guys, he's not responding at all.
Nothing.
Nothing. He's not even read his messages, nothing.
He should be finishing in 3 minutes, so I think we should maybe wait in 3 minutes.
Yes, I think he should be back shortly. When do we have our next recording today? It's at
The next one is going to be at 1 p.m.
1, right? We just have a half
Yeah.
an hour window now. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's Cisco, Sweden.
Yeah, we can't delay that. Let's just hope. Okay.
Yeah, Shadi. I don't know what happened
Let
to
me
him.
ask Sheetal if she has another contact.
Yeah, if you can just maybe let's try Gokce or
Yeah,
Or
let me check.
maybe Shital first before Gokce.
Yeah.
Okay. It's so weird. He just disappeared. I'm feeling it's a power connection because he's fully, but his phone is ringing, so should be something like.
Yeah, maybe his laptop died or something, some issue there.
Well, if his laptop died, then at least he knows that he's not presenting anymore.
So maybe he didn't realize that he lost connection. Maybe his internet lost.
Yeah, that could be possible as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm feeling he's still continuing. We might forget what's the last thing that he said.
That we would be able to pull, right, Alex?
Say again?
We would be
The
able to
last bit.
see and what was the last thing we could capture for Riyadh?
Yeah, but I'd have to end this broadcast and we'd have to create another one.
Sorry?
The only way I could see what's... Wait, I might have a way. Give me a second.
Okay.
I might just have a way to do that. Let's see.
Is Shital online? Swina.
She's not now. She was
Yeah.
there, not now.
Yeah, I'll be able to check what his last thing was. Not a problem.
She's not now. She was there. For all that.
To fully protect you from mud.
Last option would be Gokce, Swina.
attacks. Security that I wanted to talk to you about today that is key to make sure that we stop and prevent them. The block that we do the same thing with the thing we talked about, putting us in an industry again by leveraging the cloud security subscriptions that we talked about earlier, so we can apply.
I think we'll probably have to wait for a few minutes and see if
Yeah. Any updates?
No, Alex, I'm constantly trying.
Okay, 100%.
I think by now, even if he's still presenting, it should be over by now.
Yeah. Or can you try emailing Swin at this, guys?
I
Looping.
did that already, Jay.
No. I mean looping in the guys.
Sorry, what do you mean?
Maybe loop on the email Gokche and Sheetal. Maybe they can read the email.
Sheetal and all, I've already WhatsApped. They, I think, probably busy somewhere. They're not responding.
Are they on leave?
No, not on leave.
She's not in Teams also, and in WhatsApp also. She's not
Yeah,
online.
yeah.
I didn't see an auto reply.
Oh God, we don't have time now. Hi, Raya. This is.
I've been presenting to myself, huh?
Yes, correct. Ed, you're in studio again.
Well, is it on my end or your end, guys? Because I was actually I actually blocked my phone because I wanted to focus on the presentation.
Actually, we get totally lost. You get totally lost, right?
Yes, Raya.
All right. So what should we do? Should we? Let me see. Check my schedule. Actually, hold on a sec. So when did you guys lose me? Was it at the end? Was it toward the beginning? When was?
Give me a second. I'll share it on screen with you. Actually. Yeah, let me just pull this out.
Oh, bummer.
And we were also starting to get that desk feedback again from you, but it was
right at the middle. We start hearing the bouncing again at the desk.
Yeah, I was just.
okay. So this slide is where we lost you.
Oh wow, this is like 20 minutes in, Bronny.
Yeah. So best thing I can think is we actually have you drop out for a second, but just a second, and then we bring you back in. So when I say over to you, we can maybe do like you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in your head, and I'll actually bring your video and your slide back onto screen. So in terms of the live event, it will just look like we lost you for a second, we brought you back in.
So, so you're saying let's go ahead and record from this slide on, or start over? What?
No, I think it might be better to have you carry on from this slide.
Okay.
Because this was, give or take, 12 minutes into the recording. No, sorry. Yeah, because it's a live thing. So I think we were roughly at 20 something minutes. So approximately halfway through.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let me go back to that slide. Okay. So, so I'll tell you what, let's go back. Okay, so we talked about IT security, we talked about the challenges. Let's do this. Let's start from, let me share my screen here real quick. And tell me if you can do this, yeah? Let's start from, if we can start from here, which is probably 2-3 minutes before your,
You mean this slide then?
hang
Just
on.
waiting just for your screen share, and if you could
move one more, move one slide back, one more. One more, sorry. Yeah, one more. Yeah, this is actually where I want to. Yeah, that way it will probably flow better.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Perfect. If you can put your virtual background back on for me, please, and if you can share your screen so that we can make sure everything goes smoothly, and if possible.
How do I know if I lost you guys again?
Just keep your phone on vibrate, but maybe don't have it on the desk. Maybe put it on the floor somewhere so we don't hear it loudly through the audience if you do happen to get a random call or anything like that. But at least you'll be able to actually hear that your phone is vibrating nonstop.
Okay, hang on a second. Okay. All right, so that's done. Let me just turn the AC on. All right, let me see, where is my background? Learn more. Okay. I no longer get the option for let me log back. Let me log back in, guys. Let me just log out and log back in.
Okay, no problem. Jay, I'm going to ask him just to apologize and say, sorry, I lost connection there, but all is good, I'm back, and then carry on. Is that fine with you?
Alex, would it be okay to
Just
edit
jump in.
right from this IoT security and not
Yeah.
having to apologize?
So one thing I've picked up already is, by the looks of it, his camera angle is different. And to literally cut in, because he is quite fluent with his presentation, he cuts in nicely. So I'd rather have him drop out like a normal live event would be. It adds a little bit of an element, that makes it feel live for the audience then. And then I'll ask him just to count to 5 seconds, and then I'll just pop his video and his slide back up onto the screen. So we have like a 1 or 2 second interval where it's just the background, and then he's back in again. So it's not like a normal live event where we'd wait like a minute or two to try and reach the person or get them back in.
Okay. But it's still, in case we are able to manage with the editing, we'll go ahead and skip that part where we lose connection and all. But let him say that, just in case we have trouble with the editing, we can use that part.
Yes.
Okay. It's just that we are a little tight on schedule for our next recording, so we'll have to wrap up quickly. So yeah, we can take the studio back and begin with the recordings.
Perfect. Yeah. Just thinking.
All right.
Perfect. Okay, Raid, what I'd like you just to do, just for safety, for editing purposes, is as you come back in, I'm just going to ask you just to wait, like count down to 5 in the back of your head. I will have you off screen, and then I'll bring you and your presentation back onto the screen. Just say, sorry, lost connectivity for a second there. Pause for a second, just 1 second, and then carry on straight over to presenting this slide. So just in case we struggle with your camera angle maybe being too offline or anything like that with the editing, we have a fail-safe where we just say we lost a 1 second connection there, kind of thing, but you're back,
Okay,
and we'll
count to 5 and then apologize for maybe some connectivity issues. Wait 1 second and then drill
just
into the
carry
presentation.
on. Perfect. So if I can just ask you just to share your screen with your presentation for me there, please.
Yeah.
Are you coming all right with the share screen there?
Yeah. I'm not sharing my screen. Sorry.
Yep.
I'm waiting for you. All right, hold on. Let me share my screen. Share screen. Share screen. Good thing you asked me, man. I was. Okay, here we go. Share screen. Share screen.
Perfect. If you can just hide that sharing screen function at the bottom there again. Perfect. Just click in the background again on your presentation. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to drop everybody else out again. And then just remember, as I say over to you, 5 second count, and I'm going to bring everything back into the studio then, okay?
Okay. All right.
Perfect. Over to you.
All right. Looks like we're having some connectivity issues. So apologize for that. Let's carry on with the presentation. So we talked about DNS security. The second key thing that I think is really relevant to a lot of customers today is IoT security. And if you look at almost every single customer environment, the number of devices connected to the network is, and if you look at IoT devices connected to the network, you'll find it's either just as many as the traditional IT devices, or maybe more, right? So McKinsey did the research recently, and they asked a lot of CIOs about their IoT environment and how they feel about protecting them. So 76% of those who responded said that IoT security is a top priority for them. Why? Because there are so many IoT devices in their environment. But only 60% of those respondents said that they actually feel prepared to do so. And we'll talk about some of the challenges and why that's difficult. But let's first look at what are some of the most commonly used IoT devices and the ones that hackers typically go and target, because they know for a fact that chances are customers do not have a security solution that protects those IT devices. So things like medical imaging systems, right? If you walk into a hospital, especially nowadays, you can imagine the number of devices that exists in a hospital that could be compromised because there isn't an IoT solution that helps protect them. And imagine if you are a hospital running those devices and somebody would come in and basically lock that device or make it inaccessible to you and maybe demand a ransom before they allow you access to it. Imagine what would that do to your patients, God forbid, or to your reputation if that happens. But the same also applies to non-healthcare customers. How many customers you walk into and they have printers, or they have CCTV cameras, or they have scanners. So the challenge of protecting IoT devices is real. And today, if you look at what customers are trying to do to address that issue, they're faced with three key challenges. The first one is the visibility that they get is based on an existing database of devices. So if it's something that has not been seen before, chances are today's solutions have no way of knowing what that IoT device is. So basically, you have no visibility over never seen before IoT devices. The second thing is, now that you have that database solution, does it really look at things like patching an old firmware, or machine learning the behavior of that specific IoT device? Are you providing the right type of protection to that IoT device with everything that it needs? And lastly, it's almost very complex and implement today's solutions or standalone IoT security solutions requires a lot of changes to the customer network setup. And more customers are finding it very frustrating to go deploy a standalone IoT solutions that is most likely different than what they use to protect their other environments. At Palo Alto Networks today, customers can get IoT security as a subscription on top of their existing firewall, or if you are a new customer to Palo Alto Networks, you can buy our firewall with the IoT subscription. And the way we approach security, is very, very simple. It is basically a 5-step process for us. And we believe in that 5-step process. We believe customers will love the security solutions that are getting from us because it addresses every aspect of their IoT environment. So the first step is to provide complete accessibility and visibility to their entire IoT devices. So we basically go and do an inventory of the customer environment, and within 48 hours, we can discover up to 90% of the IoT devices on-prem. And for the remaining 10%, we basically apply machine learning. And then once we discover those remaining 10%, we basically provide a device ID to those IoT devices. The second step is we identify, we go through a 3-tier approach to identifying that device. So the first thing is we say, listen, this is, for example, is a printer, right? And this is a printer from vendor X, and this is model XYZ from vendor X. So in a way, we kind of know what a printer or how a printer would chat with the network. We also know how vendor X printers would chat and communicate. We also have the model that could also have its own unique chatting protocols or behavioral protocols. And we kind of build a profile for that device ID based on this. And we start looking for things like, is this printer chatting with the network the way it should? Is this printer behaving like a printer? Is this model behaving like the model it should behave? So the next step is, now when we have built that device ID, we start applying protection to the device. For example, we start applying things like patching. We patch any vulnerability that could be associated with that specific model from that specific vendor for that specific printer. And we do this across all IoT devices. Next, sorry, I went the wrong way here. Next is we start worrying about the known. We talked about the 4 pillars of a platform, which is visibility, reducing the surface attack area, stopping the known, and preventing the unknown. So we stop anything that's known for us, whether it's file-based or web-based, with the cloud security subscriptions that we talked about earlier, with threat prevention, with wildfire and web filtering. And finally, the last step is, now that we have stopped the known, anything that is unknown. Let's say that this printer is trying to communicate with an unknown domain, right? So we investigate that. Is this domain a malicious domain? Is this a benign domain? So we start looking for anything that could be abnormal in the behavior of that, say, that printer. And we start applying our machine learning and we start applying our threat intelligence cloud to make sure that we get a verdict on whether or not that traffic or that file or that web-based communication is either benign or malicious. If it's benign, we allow it. If it's malicious, we stop it. So this is, in a nutshell, what we offer customers today. And we were the first company in the industry to go offer that on a firewall basis, where you actually monitor the traffic that goes from the firewall throughout your network, as well as from the firewall to the outside world. Okay, the third and last security I want to talk about is CloudGenix, which is the industry's first next generation SD-WAN solution. So we talked a few times about Palo Alto Networks being pioneers in this industry. This is for us is one of the dearest technologies to our heart. CloudGenix was a company we acquired recently, and they are very similar to Palo Alto Networks in a way where they are pioneers in the SD-WAN space. Their solution is totally different than what legacy SD-WAN providers have, and we feel it complements our platform story because it approaches securing an SD-WAN in a different approach that we believe a lot of customers will find very relevant. So if you look at traditional legacy SD-WAN vendors today and how they go and operate, it is all based on layer 3 packet-based policies. So this will enable you to go and monitor link performance and the health of that link. The challenge with that approach is the application may not be performing at the same type of performance that the link is performing. So you have no way of correlating how well an application is performing versus a link. So the link might be healthy, it might show you that everything is great, but an application might be suffering. So that is the challenge with an L3 approach. The second challenge is a lot of these solutions require on-prem physical devices to be deployed at the branch. And that adds a lot of complexity and manual operations to customers who have a lot of branches, right? So let's say that you have 100 branches or 50 branches of your company, and you want to go and manually deploy all of these and have the resources that actually know how to operate them on-prem. So that is the second challenge. And the third challenge is, if you look at the costs associated with legacy SD-WAN solutions, they rely on technologies like, for example, MPLS. MPLS is going away. MPLS is extremely expensive. And if you compare the cost of MPLS to direct access to the internet, it is exponentially higher, right? So those are the challenges that customers are faced with today. And our approach with CloudGenix really simplifies all of this. First, we think that the next generation SD-WAN solution should look at things that are, not just layer 3, but also layer 3 and layer 7. You want to make sure that your application is performing well, right? Not just the link is performing well. You want to make sure that your application, especially your mission critical applications, are performing the way they should be. So that is the first step. The second step is you got to take the manual aspect out of this whole equation, right? You got to make sure that everything you do can be automated in a way where, let's say, an application is not performing well. You want your SD-WAN solution to automate the fix to that with little or no manual intervention from your end. Keep in mind, we're talking about maybe branches that may not have the expertise of how to go and automate and improve the health or the performance of an application. So you want to make sure that your solution delivers that as well. And finally, cloud delivered branch. You don't want to have complexity or too much complexity in the branch. We believe that you can put whatever is needed on the branch and then move everything else to the cloud. That will enable you to scale faster and bigger. It will remove a lot of the complexities associated with the branch. And if you utilize direct access to the internet, you're removing a lot of the costs associated with things like MPLS. So don't take my words for everything that I talked about with CloudGenix. We did a recent research study with Forrester. And Forrester basically concluded that customers who moved from their legacy SD-WAN solutions to CloudGenix realized savings of 243%. That is a 243% return of investment with CloudGenix over a 3-year period versus their existing solutions. So we believe CloudGenix is truly the first next generation SD-WAN solutions to customers, and we have third-party validations that prove that as well. All right, moving on to a totally different pillar. So everything we talked about so far has been Strata. Let's talk a little bit about Cortex. And Cortex is, as I mentioned earlier, it's advanced security to go and stop attacks that may not be seen in real time or stopped in real time. And it has 4 key components. The first one is the data lake. This is basically an online cloud storage where we basically stitch data from things like firewalls, endpoint devices, or maybe VMs in the cloud. XDR is the industry's first extended and detection response. If you are familiar with the EDR terminology, that was only related to endpoints detection response. With XDR, we're looking at things like now network traffic and maybe cloud traffic. We believe that will be more relevant to customer environments. Autofocus is a service we have been providing for quite some time for our customers and provides them really with context over what's happening in their environment. And finally, XSOAR. So XSOAR is, again, the industry's first solution that provides you not only with a SOAR functionality, but also with threat intelligence management coupled with that. So let's talk about each one of those in a little bit more detail. And I will start with the data lake. Again, a data lake is basically where you get data or logs from things like firewalls, and those could be Palo Alto Networks firewalls, they could be third-party firewalls, endpoint agents, VMs in the cloud, and then you put that basically in an online cloud environment and stitch the data together to make it available for solutions like XDR. So that is the first component. XDR simply combines 4 different solutions into one. So we talked about endpoint detection response, or EDR. That is one solution. The other solution is EPP. EPP is traditional way of protecting an endpoint that relied on things like a database or signatures. Didn't do much EDR. It was mainly built on, have we seen it before? Did it exist? And then stopping it. And this is how legacy AV was operating. UBA that looks at behavioral analytics of a user. And then if there is anything abnormal with that user, it would go and address that issue. And finally, NTA, or network traffic analysis, which did something similar, but did it on the network. With XDR, you now get all of this into one solution from Palo Alto Networks. So you combine the functionalities of 4 industry solutions into one solution only. And today you get it in 2 flavors. If you would like to get just the endpoint platform, you would get it with XDR Prevent. If you want to get the full feature set, if you want to get the UBA, if you want to get the EDR, NTA, then you opt for XDR Pro. That provides you with complete solution from a security perspective. Moving on to XSOAR. So we believe that any SOAR solution, and by the way, SOAR stands for Security Orchestration, Automation, and Response. And we believe that any solution, any SOAR solution out there should be able to communicate, integrate, and act upon the hundreds of thousands of alerts that are being generated from either the security sensors or a SIEM, and be able to integrate with hundreds of applications that the customer might be using. So our XSOAR solution has 2 unique features to it. One, we have the most or the highest number of playbooks straight out of the box. A playbook is simply an automated way to go respond to an incident. So let's say that a SIEM flags a phishing incident, right? Today, analysts will go through a manual process that say, if you get a phishing incident, this is how you respond. And they follow, steps, and they go through A to Z to make sure that they address that. We take those same manual steps and we basically put them in a playbook and say, we're going to automate this. I don't need somebody to manually go and respond to a phishing attack. If it's a phishing attack, here is how we respond to it with a playbook. So you automate all the manual tasks that a security analyst would do. So we have more than 200 of these ready playbooks straight out of the box. The other thing that we do extremely well is integration with third-party applications. So today we have more than 400 plus integrations with third-party tools and applications that will enable us to integrate with those, say, SIEMs or security solutions and be able to build a playbook to address any security flags or alerts coming from those applications. And finally, collaboration. So we believe that when there is a security incident, you want to make sure that all the stakeholders in the company can get together in a virtual platform and basically address that security incident. And this is what you get with SOAR, or XSOAR, sorry. Autofocus, as I mentioned earlier, Autofocus provides customers with context over what's happening in their environment. So with this, you basically get feeds from things like Wildfire or our own PAN database for URL filtering or DNS database. We basically feed that into Autofocus, and then you can ingest it into either a Palo Alto Networks solution like XDR or XSOAR, or you can feed it into third-party things like an EDL at a customer site or an Intel cards that the customer might have. What this does, more or less, it shows the customer what's happening in their environment. It gives them reference points to their industry. It shows them a lot more data behind, let's say that the firewall stopped an attack. It gives them a lot more context around that attack, where it originated from, what was the source, what were the hackers trying to access. So it provides them more or less over a context over what's happening in their security environment. All right, that is Cortex. Moving on to the last pillar, and I really want to spend some time talking about cloud, because cloud is where a lot of customers today are moving to. They may not moving 100% to the cloud, but they're moving some of their workloads at least to the cloud. They're using many more SaaS applications than they have in the past. And again, all of this happening because of the digital transformation that's basically happening across the globe with every customer environment. We have two key solutions for Prisma. One is SaaS, and Prisma SaaS is basically a CASB solution, so it protects applications like Office 365 or Salesforce.com. And the other component is Prisma Cloud. Prisma Cloud is the most comprehensive cloud security solution in the industry, and it helps the customer address 4 key areas in their cloud environment, and I'll talk about those in the next slides. So for Prisma SaaS, it's simple. We basically provide API security to customers who are using things like Office 365 and Salesforce.com. We don't have a proxy, so users don't have to log into a proxy and then to say Office 365. They can access Office 365 directly, and then Prisma SaaS will connect through APIs to Office 365 and provides connection to protection to the customer real life. Simple as that. It is our CASB solution that addresses any SaaS application that the customer might be using. But I really want to spend most of our time with Prisma talking about Prisma Cloud. And the reason why I want to do this is Gartner recently identified 4 key areas that any customers using the cloud should take into consideration to protect their environment. One is posture management and security. So you got to make sure that your AWS environment or your Azure environment is secure, it's compliant, you're monitoring any abnormal behavior in traffic. All of this has to do with posture that you may or may not get from your traditional public cloud provider. 2 is workload protection. So more and more customers are using things like containers. They're using things like serverless functions. So you want to make sure that your workloads also have a protection. Next is 2 new concepts, and one is cloud network security, and that is all about segmentation or micro-segmentation of your environment in the cloud. Remember that a lot of customers use segmentation and micro-segmentation today on their on-prem environment, and as they move more and more to the workloads to the cloud, they also need something in the cloud that's cloud native that does that for them. And finally, the cloud infrastructure entitlement management, and this is all about enforcing permissions. Think of it as an identity access management at a scale that is cloud native as well. Let's talk about these in more detail. And as I mentioned, we're seeing, especially in the Middle East, we're seeing more and more customers either adopting the public cloud or building private cloud, where they're using containers, we're using things like serverless functions. And it's specifically in the financial industry, we're seeing more and more customers in say, banks adopting cloud technologies in their environments, and that could expose them to a risk unless they have a security solution that addresses that. And this is where we believe Prisma Cloud comes in. So when it comes to posture management, we provide customers with security over, say, their S3 buckets in AWS. So let's say that you have an S3 bucket that you stored some data on. One of the common things or the common attacks that happened in public clouds is if you don't actually make that S3 off limits to public access, if you keep it available to the public, your data could be leaked. And this actually happened with the Department of Defense in the US, where their S3 bucket was exposed because it was publicly accessible. You need also compliance and visibility. You want to make sure that your AWS environment is PCI compliant or is HIPAA compliant or GDPR compliant. So this is becoming really critical, specifically or especially for organizations like healthcare or financial institutions. Moving on to the workload protection. So containers, and for those of you who don't know what a container is, if you think of the evolution of the physical server that had basically CPU, RAM, hard drives on it, and then you built basically a full operating system on top, and you basically put your full application stack on top as well, and then that physical server served a number of clients. That evolved with virtualization to a VM or a virtual machine that also had the full operating system and it also had the full application stack. But instead of having to have it on a physical server, you're now sharing resources across maybe one server or multiple servers. Containers is the next step of evolution, where you don't need to load the entire operating system. You don't need to load the entire application. You just basically take the components that you need and you put them in a container environment, and then you run your applications, you run your code within that container, and then you can take that container and run it in any virtual environment. You can run it in the cloud, you can run it on-prem, and it would run the same exact way. So that is mainly around workload protection. The other key component of this is serverless security. So more and more customers are going to vendors like AWS and say, I want to run a code, and I want you to build me for the service that I'm using. So for example, Lambda service. And a prime example of this is Netflix. So Netflix today basically works with Amazon, where they say, bill us for the execution of the code using the services from AWS. So instead of having to go buy things like infrastructure as a service or a platform as a service, you only run basically or pay for the functions or the services that you're using. The two other new concepts is the network security and the cloud infrastructure entitlement management. And we're going to very soon introduce industry firsts for both of these. The first one is micro-segmentation in the cloud that is cloud native, that is based on identity, not based on IP addresses. So we will be the first vendor in the industry that actually does application segmentation, micro-segmentation based on the application, not based on IP addresses. So this is coming up very soon, and we'll also provide a cloud-native solution to our identity access and management in the cloud. Look forward to both of these coming from Palo Alto Networks very soon. So that concludes the three pillars that I wanted to talk about. But before I leave you today, I want to show you the industry appreciation and the analyst appreciation of our pioneering efforts in this space, and why a lot of third-party validators think of us as leaders in this space. Let me start first with IDC. So IDC recently released their network appliance market share for the entire world. And if you look at Palo Alto Networks, we started in 2007, so we are relatively young. If you look at a lot of the vendors on that list, they've started in the space much earlier than we have. We're very proud of the fact today that we are the largest cloud security vendor in the industry. Network security vendor in the industry. If you look at Gartner, we have been a consistent leader, or actually the leader in the Magical Quadrant for network firewalls with Gartner for 8 straight years. Gartner recently released their Secure Access Service Edge, or SASE, Magical Quadrant, and we're again one of the leaders is Palo Alto Networks. Forrester, same exact thing. We're either the leader or one of the leaders when it comes to their network firewalls or their zero trust wave reports. And we're very proud of the fact that we are consistently ranked as leaders on both of these wave reports year in and year out. And finally, NSS. NSS is an independent testing company, one of the largest actually in the industry, that validates next generation firewalls, for example, for performance and effectiveness, right? So how effective is this firewall in stopping attacks, and how does it perform from a throughput perspective? And we have gained recommended, which is the highest rating available from NSS for our next generation firewalls, for our intrusion prevention system, as well as data center segmentation. So if you look at almost every industry validation out there, they all recognize Palo Alto Networks as either the leader or one of the leaders in what we do. We're very proud of this fact. We're very proud of the fact that we brought a lot of industry-first technologies to the market. We would like to show you how we can also help you address maybe some of the security gaps that could exist today. Together with Westcon Comstor, we'll be more than happy to offer you a free assessment of your environment. We would come on site, we would work with you, or we can do it actually remotely, virtually, and we would work with you to show you where the security gaps might exist and how can a platform approach from Palo Alto Networks and Westcon Comstor address those needs for you. Thank you very much, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
So we'll proceed with your teaser, right? Just a
Yes.
quick, it's just a short 20-second video. So I'll be putting a script, if you can see it from the chat on the side. So I just want you to invite the viewers or the partners. So you will just say, "Hi, I'm Raid, then your designation from Palo Alto Networks. Join me at Imagine Middle East to explore," and then you say the topic that you have you will be discussing. Or you can either say also.
Okay, so this, yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, should I start?
1 second. I'm just going to move Jay into the back. Fantastic. And over to you.
Hello, my name is Raed Abudaya. I am the channel business manager for Palo Alto Networks here in beautiful Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. Join me at the Westcon Imagine event to share with you the power of the platform and why a platform approach is the right approach to address your security gaps and security needs. Looking forward to seeing you all.
Perfect. Perfect. That was fantastic. Jay, you happy?
Yeah. So all okay. Thank you, Raid. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us here.
Appreciate it. Yes, thank you so much.
What are the next steps, guys? So at the event, do you want me to be present also the day of the event, or how does it work?
No need, Raid. But you can join us on the event. Swina will be communicating the other things if there are things that needed from your side. Yeah. I think you have shared also the quizzes, right?
Yeah, I've shared the quizzes, the answers, the multiple choices, so you guys should have all of
them. That's done and from your side. All okay. Right. We'll let you know any other things coming. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Perfect.
For your time.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Just bye.